question in mind. Uh, when does a musician get a title of an ustad or a pandit? Because I'll tell you why I ask you this is because what happens is many times, because of certain media pressures and other things, or maybe even events that we do. So sometimes a musician gets this tag of ustad or a pandit, things like that. So I mean,
Right,
this is
right,
a very
right,
serious
right.
question which I'm asking you. As a
Yeah.
senior, if you could throw some light on this, it'll really help the youngsters and for all of us to understand, because otherwise it becomes like a anything goes that way. So
See, it's a title of a master musician, basically an ustad or a pandit. And
right,
depending on what religion you belong to
yeah,
or whatever,
yeah,
you're called an ustad if you're a Muslim, and if you call a
yes,
pandit if you're. But the basic fact of the thing is that in the Indian classical music, there is no committee who decides
right,
basically
right,
that this person is an ustad or something, but
right,
it's the audience. If
right,
you ask me, believe it or not,
right,
it's the audience. Who are so enamored, who are so happy with the person's playing,
correct, correct.
who feels that this person is worth
Being
calling
called as,
ustad
yeah,
or a pandit.
right, okay,
So it's the audience who suddenly they start
yeah, yeah,
calling everyone ustad. Oh, ye bhai ustad Zakir Hussain hai,
right, right,
or ya ustad or Pandit Hari Prasad Chaurasia ji ya
right,
Pandit Shiv Kumar Sharma ji hai.
right,
It's because of the audience,
okay,
not because there's a committee which
okay,
sits and gives them the title that
right,
this is what it is. And over a period of time, it's not
yeah,
just that you're playing for 5 years or something, and then suddenly you start. Nowadays, a lot
yeah,
of people I've seen, they call themselves that,
yeah,
कि भाई
exactly,
हम तो उस्ताद है या हम पंडित. But that is very wrong, if you
yeah,
ask me.
yeah,
The basic fact of our music is that it's the audience. Basically, I wish there was a committee who suddenly decides at the end of the year, okay, this musician has been playing for 10 years. Let's confer him with the title of Ustad or a.
right,
No, that's not the case. That doesn't happen at all.
uh,
And over the period of time, basically, people have been hearing Zakir Bhai for years and years and years. He started
right,
with Zakir Hussain, Zakir Hussain, Zakir Hussain.
right,
And over the period of 10 years or something, suddenly it became Ustad Zakir Hussain and
right,
Ustad. And it starts with the announcer announcing his name as Ustad
yeah,
Zakir Hussain, please welcome and all that.
yeah,
And then sometimes Zakir Bhai has been on the stage and he said, look, I'm not an Ustad. Please don't
correct,
call
yes,
me.
yes,
There's
yes,
only
right,
one. There is only one Ustad in the family, and that is Ustad Allah Rakha.
right,
Please do not. So there's always been that case.
yeah, yeah,
But it's the audience. It's the love of the audience.
right,
It's the
right,
admiration of the
yeah,
audience. It's the respect of the audience,
right,
which basically. But the over a period of time, that audience has changed also.
mm-hmm.
Basically, in the music field, whenever we used to hear music in the 70s, I've witnessed this myself,
Right,
and even in the late 60s, I witnessed this myself. That
right,
people come not so large numbers for
yeah,
Indian classical music.
yeah,
It was like more like a better concert
yeah,
happening in a smaller auditorium
yes,
where maybe 400 people are sitting, 500 people.
yes,
Then in the mid 70s and all that, concerts started happening,
yeah,
and there was only one musician
right,
in India in the 60s who were able to fill up the Shanmukhanand auditorium,
right,
and that was Pandit Ravi Shankar. I
right,
have seen it with my own eyes. He coming to play a concert in Bombay. He's playing at
right,
Shanmukhanand Hall, and
right,
Shanmukhanand Hall in the 60s was two and
yes,
a half thousand people.
yes,
He was the only person who was able to fill up that,
yeah, yeah,
and he deserved the title of Pandit because
yeah,
of all this,
correct,
of all he has done.
correct, correct,
So and then came the mid 70s, where people the next generation started making a
yeah,
lot of wave and all that. So
right,
the concerts was started having in auditoriums, and
right,
people like Shivji, Hariji, Zakir Bhai, Jasraj ji,
yes,
they were creating such great. The younger generation was going more and more towards it,
correct,
but the
correct,
audience basically used to be 70% were listeners and
right,
70% were knowledgeable people who were going there,
Yes.
and there was 30% who were not. But
Yes.
that knowledgeable audience was over a period of time deciding that this person
Yeah.
deserves
Correct.
the title or this.
Absolutely.
Now
Yeah.
the audience, if you go to a classical music, there's only 10% or maybe 15% of the people who are sitting in who knows what's happening on the stage.
Right.
Basically,
Right.
the
Absolutely.
rest
Yeah.
the rest have come to enjoy or see Zakir Hussain,
Yeah.
play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unka naam bahut suna
Ha,
hai. I
ha,
want to hear him
absolutely.
play or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
whatever he's doing on the stage is basically goes over their head. But
Both.
they are there in the audience,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they want to listen to.
Correct.
He is nowadays he's the one who brings in the audience
Right.
of 3,000 in an auditorium like
Yes.
Sharmukanand Hall.
Yes.
If you have
Yes.
a concert like that,
Yes.
you have get Zakir Hussain to fill up the
Yeah.
auditorium of
Absolutely. Yeah.
or get some Bollywood people to come and perform.
Absolutely.
Bollywood people will definitely
Yeah.
fill up an auditorium anywhere.
Correct.
I
True.
mean
True.
that is but
Yeah.
the
True.
classical musicians require
Yeah.
doesn't have that kind of an audience.
Correct.
Core
Yeah. Yeah.
audience is very
Yeah.
less.
Yeah.
Maximum 1,000 people, maximum
Correct. Correct.
800,000
Correct.
people.
No.
I mean, if you are like Ustad Zakir Hussain, then it can go up to 2,000,
Yeah.
3,000 people, but not for everyone.
No,
So
but
the audience level has changed, and therefore now I think people feel that they should call themselves. I
yeah.
don't know what it is. Now what has happened is that people feel that I'm there in the field for 10 years now,
Yeah.
so I need to be called Ustad or
Yeah.
Pandit or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Which is well, I mean, what can you say? Because
Correct.
see, our music is such that there is nothing fixed in our music.
Yes.
Whenever, even if you take Carnatic music or
Yes.
Carnatic music, there are certain fixed things. But Hindustani music, if you take for instance,
Yes.
95% of the music is improvised.
Improvise
Okay?
completely. Correct.
Only 5% is fixed, or the rag or the
Yeah.
tal, or how the rag is to be sung or played or
Yeah.
something. Otherwise, the rest inside it is all improvised and all
Absolutely.
everything.
Yeah.
There are no set of rules to tell anyone you can't do this, you can't do
Yes.
that.
Yes.
It is an unspoken rules
Yes.
which exist
Yes.
in Indian music,
Yes.
that you can't do this, you can't do that. But these are the unspoken, unwritten rules. There's
Right.
no like
Very
a
true.
rule
Yeah.
book or something
Yes. Yes.
that says that you can. So then everybody can do anything,
Yes.
in the
Yes.
name of music, basically,
Correct.
and kind of get away with it because there's no set of rules available.
Yeah.
There's no rule book which is there
Right.
which stops people from doing this or not.
Right. True. True.
So,
True.
but people experiment. People do, like, for instance, I've heard a recording of Amir Khan Saab singing
Yeah.
Malkons with a pancham,
Right.
without the pancham and all
Yeah.
that. So,
Correct.
I mean,
Correct.
it's just a question of how you do it. So
Yeah.
people are creating ragas. Lots of musicians are creating ragas.
Right.
They are blending two ragas and creating ragas. And
Right.
whether the raga is good enough to be played by other musicians,
Right.
only then the rag will become popular.
Right.
Some are popular because they are played by other musicians.
Right. Right.
Some are they just die a natural death because only the person who has created it plays,
Correct.
and nobody else is playing that
Correct,
because it's not interesting enough for others to play that
True. Very true.
kind of
Very true.
raga,
Yeah.
whatever it is that.
Sure.
So even creating ragas, there's no rule. There's
Yeah.
no rule. There's
Yeah.
no sort of people can just create rag. People can just create tala also.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
yeah.
but somebody asked Zakir bhai, why haven't you created a tal yourself?
Yeah.
You are such a master in all. Then he
Right.
says, well, there are 360 rhythm cycles,
Right.
ranging from 3 beats to
Yeah.
108 beats.
Right.
Every beat is covered. Every half a beat is covered. So there is no room. There is no room left for us to do anything. First of all, let me first learn all the 360 tals first, and then I will create. After
Right.
that, I will create. So it is very. Many people have created tala also.
Yeah,
I
of
mean,
course,
it's not
yeah,
like they
yeah,
haven't. But there are so many rags
Yeah,
already created
correct,
by
correct. Absolutely. Yeah.
forefathers
Yeah.
and
Even Ravi
great
Shankar ji
musicians
has
of
created so many of his
have
own.
created
Yeah.
so many ragas. There are so many ragas that people are not even aware of,
Yeah.
which have been existing
Yeah.
and which have not been sung or played or
Yeah.
something.
True. True.
So
Absolutely.
let's try and bring those ragas,
Yeah.
in the highlight rather than create more
Correct.
ragas,
Correct.
because
Absolutely. If whatever is there, we should explore that as much as possible, and try and bring it. And
abs,
of course, at
abs,
the same time, try to maybe via fusion, at least maybe reach out to the youngsters and. Uh, like your album which you had done, Ley Lines, such a beautiful album,
uh,
and it was done now
right.
recently, in fact. So very
Yeah, four
organic,
years ago, 4, 5 years
yeah,
ago,
such
yeah.
a lovely. I just loved that entire sound of that album. After Shakti, I mean, actually, I could hear those very natural elements. I mean,
We had an album in the Minta called Nandu's Dance,
right, right,
which is an album which was done in 2 days actually.
yeah,
And the reason why it happened in 2 days is because we were on tour
yeah,
in the Scandinavian countries, playing 22 concerts.
right, right,
In about 3 weeks, we played 22 concerts,
right,
and then we came back to Stockholm, and then we
right,
went straight into the studios,
right.
and we played all those pieces live in the
Okay,
studio,
wow,
and everyone knew what we were doing and
yeah,
what part he was playing and
right,
and we just went and played all the tracks
right,
in the studio live, all of us live performing there.
correct,
Nobody overdubbed.
correct,
Nobody overdubbed. Everybody knew what they were doing,
correct.
and that is for me is the best
Yeah,
Minta album. It's
super,
called Nandu's Dance, and it
right.
is one of the really that gives the energy.
Hmm.
That's the energy that exude
Right,
the Minta energy.
right, yeah,
There are about 6, 7 albums, and
yes,
most of them are produced. In
right,
the studio.
right,
I've sort of created so many tracks
right,
myself. For
right,
Minta,
right,
composed by me.
right,
But like 3 people have played, and then the rest have overdubbed, and
yeah,
and I have dubbed some other stuff. I have this and that. But the energy that we show on the stage,
right,
the energy that we exude on the stage, the
right,
the the co- the chemistry that we have on the stage
yeah,
is is shown in this
yeah,
album
yeah,
called
yeah,
Nandu's Dance.
correct,
Because after playing 23 concerts, 22 concerts, we've gone into the studio
right,
and in 2 days recorded the whole album.
right,
We
right,
just went and just
wow,
played and finished
wow,
recording the album.
yes,
So I think that is what is energy is all about. That is the
right,
chemistry. That is
correct,
what the music is all about. It
correct,
it needs to have that
yeah,
chemistry. It
yeah.
needs to have that that what you call
It's very
the
conversational. It's
that
very conversational, I would say.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, the music is
the
music
music
is
is
you
conversational.
inspire somebody.
Yeah,
Somebody inspires you.
yeah,
You know, I've seen that happening on the stage when I'm playing with Zakir Bhai.
yeah,
We are
right,
playing a duet in the.
yeah, yeah,
He started something, and I'm just taking it forward with it, and
right,
then suddenly I think of something and I play, and then he takes it forward even
correct,
further up.
absolutely,
So
yes.
there is that thing is going on.
It's like
I
a
mean,
give
there
and
is
take.
nothing decided in the.
Yeah, give and take kind
Yeah,
of a thing.
there is nothing decided in the green room that this is
Yes,
what we're going to do.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
what is
yeah,
going to happen. No, 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 no,
yeah,
no. That's
correct,
that
correct,
that doesn't happen with Zakir Bhai, and it
correct.
just on the stage is unfolding. The
Yes,
story
yes,
is unfolding
yeah,
on the
yeah,
stage.
yeah, yeah.
It's like that. Basically,
Absolutely,
that's what
so
it is.
beautiful, so beautiful. So, so before we sign off, I had an idea. You remember we had done the song 786. That was another composition which we had
Which
recorded.
again had 7 beats,
Yeah.
8 beats, and 6 beats.
So, so we
So,
had.
so when is your next track coming with 4 rhythm cycles in it?
There are.
786. That was. I remember 786. I played in that. I think
Yeah.
we made a video also. I
Yes,
think,
yes, we
if I'm
did the
not.
video as well.
Coming back to the next generation. Just before we sign off, I just
Yeah.
wanted to mention that since you mentioned
Yes.
Gino and you mentioned
Yes.
Sheldon, I think these are the musicians who are a good example
Correct.
of musicians who have come out of their
Yeah.
comfort zone and
Absolutely.
decided to decided to work and interact with musicians of the other genre
Right.
and create something,
And
like,
they've stuck to what they've been
Gino.
doing. They've
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
and I mean, Sheldon plays with everyone, and
Yeah.
he's come forward, he's come out of it, and
Yes.
played some Indian stuff also.
Yes.
And Gino is playing with all the Karnataka
Right.
corways and everything,
Yes.
and my father's composition he's playing also. I
Right.
mean,
Right.
so
Yeah.
so this is like coming
Correct.
out
Absolutely.
of
Yeah.
your
Yeah. Yeah.
comfort zone,
True.
and blending with other style,
True.
and that is, I think, is a good
It's a very good
sign
example.
for
Yeah.
the
Very good example. Yeah.
next generation of fusion
Yes.
music
Yes.
musicians.
Right.
I
Right.
feel they are the signs, they are the
Yeah. Absolutely.
signature.
And they've been very persistent about it as well, and they've worked really
Yeah.
hard to
And
Yeah.
and let's not forget Louis Banks
Of
himself,
course. Yes. Yes.
who's composed music in all the Indian ragas.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Vachaspati, he's composed
Yes.
something. So he's using all the ragas and
Like,
composing
yes.
jazz tracks.
Correct.
Which is amazing.
And
I
very
mean,
very beautifully blended also together.
very
Yeah.
beautifully blended with all the chords. And I mean, imagine Mile Sur Mera Tumhara is basically
Yeah.
Louis Banks's
Yeah. 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 Of course.
sort of thought process. I
Correct.
mean, going,
Correct.
so even though the main melody is sung by Bhimsen Joshi ji,
Yes.
but
Yes.
the ornamentation,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
chord progression, and
Yes.
everything
Yes.
is done by Louis Banks.
Everything
And
is done by
that
Louis
is
Banks.
that is because he knows about the music, and
Correct.
he's
Correct. Correct.
he's a genius. I mean, these
Absolutely.
people
Yeah.
are the
Yeah. Yeah.
living example of how to
Yeah.
do fusion music.
Correct. Correct.
Louis Banks, John McLaughlin,
Correct.
Zakir Bhai,
Correct.
L.
Correct.
Shankar. These
Correct.
guys are benchmark.
Correct.
They these
Absolutely.
if you want to play fusion music,
Yeah.
these are the people. These
Right.
are
True.
our inspiration. We
True.
must take them. We must copy them. We
True.
must see what they have done
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
do it. That's what it is.
Absolutely. Very true. Very true. But at the same time, I'll also like to add that honing a particular style of music, which is, for example, Hindustani classical or Carnatic, it takes many, many years to get a good command over that style, and so
Right,
goes
right.
with jazz also. You need to be learned, because you need to really learn a lot in that as well over the years.
Absolutely.
It's not. It doesn't come
Absolutely.
overnight. You can't suddenly get
No.
up and say, "Okay, I'm a Hindustani classical musician." So it takes a lot
No,
of
it doesn't come overnight, I think it requires a lot of. I mean, I can talk about myself that I'm still learning,
yeah,
because I'm still experimenting. I'm still
yeah,
composing. Since the time I've started teaching
yeah.
after my father's demise
Right.
at our institute, I just realized that how much I'm learning from teaching.
Correct.
Because
Correct.
I have to analyze what I've learned from my father,
Yeah.
and I have to make it simpler for my students.
Exactly.
And so
yeah.
I'm learning more.
Yeah.
I'm learning more because of that.
It-
And I'm understanding more the compositions, the
Correct.
qaidas,
Correct.
the relas that you have composed, and I'm
Correct.
teaching them, and I'm beginning to understand now.
Yes.
And I'm beginning to compose my own composition
Right.
based on those,
Right.
because I'm able to learn so much
Right.
now,
Right.
because my understanding is broadened now, because
Yeah.
after I've
So
started
true.
teaching.
So true.
So I still feel that I'm still in the process of
Yeah.
learning, still in the process of grasping things.
Correct. Correct.
I mean, music is such a subjective thing that you can keep learning forever.
Forever.
There's
Yeah.
no
Very
stopping.
true. Yeah. Very true. And
There's no stopping.
yeah, and especially, I mean, and you are a teacher, you are a mentor as well, and plus a performer. I mean, what more can anyone expect to gain from you or to know from you?
Well, I just want to. I always have one thing in my head when I'm performing on the stage,
Yeah.
and that is that my father has created such a name for himself,
Yeah.
and I must play good enough so that
Yeah.
I don't spoil his name.
Yes.
That's always
yes,
there
very
in
true.
my.
Yeah.
That's always there in my head.
Yes.
I should play good enough, because he's earned it.
Yes.
He's really worked very hard for it, and he's reached that stage.
Yeah.
And I'm going on to the stage, and I'm going to take his name. I'm his
Yeah.
son, I'm his student, and I'm performing.
True.
So if I must perform good enough
Yeah.
so that I don't spoil his
No,
name.
no, seriously,
I should. that's always that tension in my head in the
Yeah.
initial part when I'm going
True,
onto the
true, true.
stage.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
nothing should go wrong that
No,
that people will say, "Yeah, oh, he's so and so's son, and he's
right.
done such a horrible job." I
Yeah.
mean, I don't want,
Yeah.
I don't. I always have this thing in my head.
Sure. Yeah.
I must play well. That's
Oh,
always that thing in my head.
that's a very absolutely humble, word from you, and we're all really obliged, and I'm very thankful for you to have come on this podcast and shared all this. It was a very heart to heart conversation with you, and I'm so obliged. I mean, you've always been there for most of my ventures as well, always. So it's almost like a what can I say? It's more like a shagun for me. Always been like
I,
a
you know, I, I have been there for your ventures, and you have been there for my adventures.
and,
The
and
adventures that I have done in my life, you've always been there. Yeah, So,
yeah,
so
and
you've always been part of my,
yeah,
and you will always will be because
yeah,
you're such a humble
yeah,
yourself. You're a great musician. You're a good teacher, and continue to do the good work that
yeah.
you are doing and
Thank,
teaching all these young fellows. I've come and seen all your
yeah,
students perform,
yeah,
and I'm very very proud and happy
yeah,
about it. And I think you should continue teaching them and
yeah.
make sure that this younger generation takes the music
Right.
forward to another level.
Correct.
And your teaching
Yeah.
should just continue.
Correct.
Be what you are.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thank
you
you
are
so
very
much. Yeah.
humble. You are a good musician and you are
Yeah.
a good person. So continue to be
Thank you so
that.
much. Yeah.
And achievement is
Yeah.
you've achieved. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot to achieve, of course,
True. True.
but whatever you have achieved is is is
Yeah.
uh, is a hallmark of what
Yeah.
you are
Yeah.
actually,
Thank you so
basically.
much. Yeah.
And because of what you are, you've
Yeah.
achieved. That's
Yeah.
it. So
Thank you.
it works both ways.
Yeah. And I'm also, I must say that I'm very glad that my mom has met you. At least before she
Yeah.
passed away, she has spent a good
Yeah.
amount of time with you, which I am really proud of today. Uh,
I'm happy that I met her, and she was talking about her music. I remember when I came to your house
yeah.
to the recording for 786. I don't
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
which
Yeah. When
in
you had
your
come
house
over,
studio.
right? Yes.
Yeah, and at your
Yes.
house, and
Yes.
we were talking, chatting, and she was telling me about her
Yeah.
singing and her music and all that. And
Right.
in fact, I told her also you should sing. Bole, nahi, ab to umar ho gayi hai.
Yeah.
You know how it
No,
is.
she had a heart. She had
I
a heart problem. So even her
yeah,
pitching and all has gone very, shaky, and so she feels very.
understand.
I mean, she's not comfortable singing. She can't take it that the way she's singing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because that's a sign of a true musician. It's
Yeah.
a sign of a true. Because they even if it goes for a little bit here,
Yeah. They get
they don't
very
like
hassled.
it.
Yeah.
They can't. No, I can't. They don't want to, disrespect the music.
Correct. Correct.
That's how
And
these
the
people
note,
are.
not
They,
disrespect
they,
that note as
yeah,
well. So
yeah.
uh,
They're so much in love with the music.
yeah.
They're so much in love with the notes. They have so much respect for it
Correct.
that they can't stand that
Yeah.
even if they go slightly out
Yeah.
of tune.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are these are the real music lovers.
Correct.
Your mother
True.
was a
True.
real music lover.
True. And that's what
This
happened
is what
because
they're
of a
saying.
weak heart. By and by, it kept getting worse and worse. So she could not sustain a note and hold on to a pitch. So she was quite unhappy about it. But
No, I
of
was
course,
happy to have a conversation with her, talk about music.
yeah,
She was
no,
a very
it
learned
was
person, very
right.
learned,
Yeah,
very learned person.
yeah,
And you have shown some very interesting photos of her, of your grandfather coming in
yes,
1908. You
yeah,
preserved the whole history of your
yeah,
family
yeah,
from
yeah.
to in Parel and then from
Correct,
Parel here and all
correct.
that stuff. So
True.
very amazing.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
so I mean, hats off to you. Keep
Yeah.
up the good work,
Thank you
Ravi.
so much, Fadalji. Thank you. And I'll say goodbye now and my humble pranam to you. Thank you so much.
My humble pranam to you also, and goodbye to you from my side. And let's do this again sometime.
Ta din ta din ta din ta din ta kata ga digan ta din ta din ta din ta din ta kata ga digan ta din ta din ta din ta din ta ta din ta din ta din ta din ta kata ga digan ta din ta din ta din ta din ta kata ga digan ta din ta din ta din ta din ta kata ga digan ta din 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 ta Kadkade ta din ta din ta din ta din ta Kadkade ta din ta din ta din ta din ta Kadkade ta gadige ta gadige ta ta din ta din ta din ta Kadkade ta ta kadkade 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 ta ta kadkade ta kadkade ta kadkade ta kadkade ta
Good, no?